Good day, good day, good day. I want to welcome you back to our video for the week. And I am going to just go ahead and jump right into it. If decisions feel slow, um, it might not be because you're busy. It might be because you're doing a job you already outgrew. Role confusion creates slow decisions, but clarity restores momentum. And today, I'm going to show you three signs you've outgrown your role and a simple reset you can do this week to speed up decisions and regain momentum without burning yourself out. If this is your first time here, welcome back. I am Shelby Frederick, also known as Lady Jules, and here we are answering some of your most pressing questions that I receive. So, if you've been feeling stretched, second guessed, or like everything bottlenecks at you, then this is for you. You see, most leaders think the problem is time management, but often it's actually identity and authority. When you're unclear about your role, everything takes longer. Approvals, priority, delegation, even your confidence. Yes, your confidence. Because your team isn't just waiting on your time, they're waiting on your signal. And if your signal is unclear, people hesitate. Then they circle back. Then you relitigate decisions you already made. So if you want faster decisions, you don't start with another productivity hack. You start with role clarity. So I want to share with you three signs you outgrew the job. Sign number one is you're the default for everything. If the team can't move without you, you don't just have a leadership problem, you have a decision rights problem. And that's because you became the safe option, the ask her person, the human approval stamp. And when you want to delegate, the system keeps pulling things back to you. Listen, I've lived this. There was a season where every decision, every Canva graphic, every client reply, every quick question that came through in the group text, it came through me. And I told myself that was leadership. I told myself nobody could do it the way I do it. But here's what was really happening. I was so deep in the task that I couldn't think clearly about the vision. I'd sit down to plan the next quarter, and my brain was still processing yesterday's messages. And I'm here to tell you that's not leadership, that is labor with a title. And the worst part, I was exhausted, but couldn't explain why. Because on paper, everything was getting done, but I was the one who was getting undone. So that's sign number one. Sign number two is you're doing high importance work with low authority. What does that mean? That means that you're carrying outcomes without the authority to set direction. And that is exhausting. You're responsible for results, but you can't actually draw the line around what matters, what doesn't, and what changes this quarter. And that mismatch, it creates constant friction internally and across the team. So that's sign number two. Now, sign number three is you keep revisiting decisions you already made. And listen, this isn't always indecision. Sometimes it's a role mismatch. Today, your role, your role today and your actual responsibilities, they don't match. So decisions keep boomeranging. You decide something like a CEO, but you're still living like the operator who has to catch everything. So you reopen decisions because you don't trust the container holding them. Now, if any of those hit, good news, you don't need to overhaul your whole organization. You need a reset. You just need a reset. So here's the reset I use with myself and also with my clients. And it's simple, but it's not shallow. And it is role, rights, and rhythm. Step number one is role. What is my job now? Not what you used to do, not what you're capable of, not what people expect from the old version of you. What's required in this season? And I want you to say it out loud in one sentence. My job now is to what? And if you can't say it, your team can't follow it. Step number two is rights. What decisions am I responsible for? And I'm talking about with no debate. And see, this is where leaders get free. I want you to list your decisions in three buckets. Bucket one is mine. I own this, and that's the final call. Bucket two is shared. This means that we decide together. Bucket three is delegated. That means someone else decides and I don't reopen it unless there's a clear risk. Listen, you don't have to hold every decision to be a strong leader, but you do have to hold the right ones, right? So, step number three is rhythm. What must happen weekly for momentum? If it's not on the calendar, guess what? It's not your job, it's just a wish. Your rhythm is the minimum set of weekly actions that keeps clarity alive. What does that look like? A weekly priorities review, a decision deadline check, a leadership sync, a protected strategy block. Listen, clarity doesn't sustain itself. You have to schedule it like stewardship. Let's make this real. The old role would be an operator who catches everything. But the new role is the CEO who sets direction and protects priorities. Because the operator asks, well, what needs doing? But the CEO asks, what must be decided, by whom, and by when? The operator gets rewarded for being helpful, but the CEO gets results by being clear. So I want to leave you with a quick practice for this week. I want you to take the top five issues on your plate. And for each one, I want you to ask the question: is this a role issue? Meaning, is this even my job? Is this a rights issue? Meaning, who decides this? Is this a rhythm issue? Meaning, what's the weekly system that prevents this from reoccurring? You'll be shocked by how many problems are not work problems, they're clarity problems. So this week, pull up your calendar, not next week, not last week. I want you to look at every meeting, every task, every message that you responded to. And I want you to mark each one with an O or a C. O for operator, meaning that was execution work. You were doing the thing. Or C for CEO. That was direction work. You were deciding, delegating, or designing what comes next. Now, I want you to count the O's, and that number is your bottleneck score. If it's higher than 60%, my friends, you're not leading, you're performing. And if your nervous system knows the difference, it's going to show it. That's why you're tired. That's why your decisions feel heavy. That's why your body is carrying a role that your mind already left. So listen, you don't need more discipline. You need a role that matches where you actually are. And I want to say this gently because it's real. Sometimes we stay in the old job because it feels faithful to be needed. But maturity is stewardship. That is doing what only you can do and releasing the rest. Clarity is a wellness practice, but confusion is a stressor. And when you live in confusion long enough, your nervous system starts to treat everything like an emergency. So you overfunction, you over explain, you over carry, and then you wonder why you're tired. So this is your reminder. Peace and momentum can coexist, but role clarity is the bridge. In my closing, if this message is hitting, the Season Shift Intensive is open. And in this intensive, we'll clarify a few things: your role for this season, your decision rights, and your next 30-day priorities. Yeah. And this is so that you can move with peace and momentum and stop bottlenecking your business, your ministry, your organization, or your team. So if you want the details, comment shift and I'll send them or check the link that's in the description. Stop doing the job you outgrew. Step into the role that this season requires. All right. I pray that this was a blessing to you. I look forward to being back with you for another video on next week. Blessings. If this question reflects your current leadership season, pause and notice your response. Nothing is wrong with you. This points to capacity, not character. This is the work I support inside my private DDB breakthrough coaching cohorts: structural support and sustainable change. If this pattern keeps repeating, deeper support matters. Thank you for spending this time with me. We rebuild first, then we rise.